They thought it would be just another royal interview. But when Prince Harry sat across from Savannah Guthrie, everything unraveled faster than anyone expected. He walked in confident. By the time it was over, he wasn't just humiliated, he was kicked out. This wasn't another royal headline. This was the day everything changed for Prince Harry. Live on American television. The Today Show studio buzzed with its usual morning energy. Technicians adjusted lights, producers whispered into earpieces, and Savannah Guthrie flipped through her cue cards with the calm precision of a pro. Everything looked routine on the surface, but underneath, the tension was unmistakable. Prince Harry was in the building. He'd arrived 15 minutes early, sharply dressed in a tailored navy suit. His security detail moved like shadows, while his PR handler, an anxious woman with a clipboard and Bluetooth headset, hovered close, whispering last-minute talking points. Harry nodded absently, scanning the set with an expression caught between curiosity and caution. This wasn't Buckingham Palace. This was America. Unpredictable, unscripted, and uncontrollable. 5 minutes, a producer called. Savannah smoothed her hair, straightened her blazer, and stepped forward with a warm smile. "Good morning, Your Royal Highness." Harry's reply was clipped. "Just Harry's fine." Savannah caught the signal. No titles, no crown talk. "Of course," she said smoothly, gesturing toward the chairs. The cameras rolled. "Welcome to the Today Show," Savannah began. "It's a pleasure to have you." "Thank you," Harry replied, his smile tight. "You've been busy lately. Book tours, speeches, a new documentary. We're excited to hear more." Harry nodded. "It's about sharing my truth, setting the record straight." The first 10 minutes were effortless. Savannah guided the conversation through safe terrain, his new project supporting veterans' mental health. Harry was composed, articulate, even charismatic. He spoke with conviction about service, purpose, and duty beyond the uniform. Viewers likely nodded along, impressed, but Savannah wasn't there just for promotion. She leaned forward slightly. "You've spoken often about the importance of privacy, especially for your family. Yet some people find it puzzling that you've shared such personal details in your book and documentary. How do you draw the line between privacy and publicity?" There it was, the first crack. Harry's smile thinned. "It's about context," he said carefully. "When lies are told about you repeatedly, you have a right, no, an obligation, to correct the record, especially when your family's involved." Savannah nodded, but didn't relent. "But correcting the record sometimes means exposing private conversations, doesn't it? Some of those details about your father, brother, even your grandmother, weren't public until you shared them." Harry's expression hardened. "That's an unfair way of putting it." "It's just a question," Savannah replied evenly. "A lot of people wonder where that boundary really is." Harry gave a short, humorless laugh. "Look, I didn't come here to be grilled about my choices. I came here to talk about my work." "Of course," Savannah said lightly, keeping her composure. "And we'll get to that. But as you've said, the public narrative matters." The tension thickened like static in the air. Savannah shifted gears. "You've said stepping back from royal duties was one of the hardest decisions of your life. Do you ever miss that world?" Harry's jaw tightened. "I miss the service," he said, "not the institution." Savannah hesitated, then asked, "And your family? Do you miss them?" Silence. "We're focusing on healing privately," Harry said at last. It was a dodge, and everyone knew it. Savannah's instinct told her to ease off, but before she could, she made a small slip. "Fair enough," she said. "Let's shift gears a bit, Meghan." Harry's head snapped up. "Let's not!" His voice cut through the studio. Savannah froze. "Sorry." "You said this was about me," Harry said sharply. "I'm here." "Not her." "I was just going to ask how she's doing," Savannah said evenly. "She's fine," Harry replied, his tone icy. "But again, this is about me. I'd appreciate it if we didn't make it about my wife." The control room lights dimmed slightly for a commercial cue, but Savannah didn't flinch. She wasn't intimidated by royalty, and she certainly wasn't going to let a guest dictate the boundaries of an interview. Still, she softened her voice. "Of course, But many of our viewers are curious about how the two of you manage life in the spotlight. You're partners in so many ways, and it's admirable. Harry crossed one leg over the other and exhaled sharply through his nose. We navigate it privately, he said, the way families should. A pause, the kind that stretched. Savannah let it breathe, then smoothly shifted to her next card. Let's talk legacy, she said. You've often spoken about building something meaningful, beyond titles and tradition. But some critics argue that without the royal platform, your reach wouldn't be what it is today. That you've distanced yourself from the crown, but still capitalize on the royal connection. How do you respond to that? That was it. The crack. Harry's composure slipped, just slightly. Are we really going there? He muttered, not quite under his breath. The boom mic caught every word. Savannah's smile never wavered. It's a fair question, one that a lot of people are asking. Harry leaned back in his chair, a PR-trained gesture of control, but his fingers drummed impatiently on the armrest. I've earned everything I've done outside that institution, he said. I'm not cashing in on my family name. I'm surviving without it. Savannah nodded slowly. Surviving but still using the titles. The Duke of Sussex is on your book cover, the documentary credits, your promotional posters. Harry's eyes flashed. That's who I am. Savannah tilted her head slightly. But is it who you want to be? She asked gently, or who you need to be, to stay relevant in a media-driven world. Harry uncrossed his legs and leaned forward, locking eyes with her. For a brief moment he looked straight into the camera, then back at Savannah. I don't need relevance, he said flatly. I need truth. Savannah's brow lifted, the faintest movement. And yet, she said softly, here you are again. Silence, the kind that hummed in the air. The studio lights caught the glint in Harry's eyes. Even the crew behind the glass could feel it. The tension thick enough to cut. The prince hadn't exploded yet, but he was close. And Savannah Guthrie? She wasn't backing down, not yet. Not ever. The commercial break came just in time. Inside the studio, silence buzzed louder than the lights overhead. Harry leaned back, jaw tight, fingers tapping a rapid rhythm on the chair. His PR handler hurried over from the wings, whispering urgently in his ear. He nodded once, dismissively, eyes fixed on a distant point beyond the cameras. Savannah remained seated, composed, unbothered, sipping from her Today Show mug. She'd faced presidents, generals, and CEOs. She could recognize the moment when a guest began to fracture. Coming back in 5, 4, 3. The red light blinked on. We're back with Prince Harry, Savannah said smoothly. Discussing his journey, his legacy, and what life looks like beyond the palace. Harry offered a stiff nod. The earlier charm was gone, replaced by mechanical politeness. Savannah glanced down at her card, then met his eyes again. I want to ask you something that's been trending lately, not just in tabloids. Some say your advocacy for mental health has been overshadowed by, well, repeated criticism of your family. Do you think your message is getting lost in the noise? Harry blinked slowly. My advocacy stands on its own, he said. If people choose to focus on headlines instead of substance, that's not my responsibility. Savannah didn't look away. But you created the headlines, she said softly. The excerpts, the interviews, the docu-series. None of that was leaked. It came from you. Harry's eyes narrowed. This sounds less like a conversation and more like an interrogation. I'm just voicing what many are wondering, Savannah replied, calm and steady. You've always said you wanted to control your narrative. I'm trying to understand how that control aligns with such constant public exposure. Harry let out a sharp laugh. Maybe because every time I try to do something meaningful, I get dragged into defending my existence. He leaned forward. Like now? Savannah inclined her head slightly. That's fair, she said. But don't you think there's a difference between defending your existence and monetizing your grievances? There it was, the line that would ignite everything. Harry's smile vanished. I'm sorry, are you accusing me of profiting off trauma? I'm asking, Savannah clarified, her voice steady. You've spoken openly about your childhood, your mother's death, your fractured family relationships. But those stories are now part of a multi-million-dollar media empire. Do you think your pain has become commodified? Harry gave a bitter chuckle. It must be nice to sit in that chair and pass judgment on how people survive. I'm not passing judgment, Savannah replied, still calm. I'm questioning the message. A lot of young men look up to you, especially veterans. But they're not writing books or signing Netflix deals. They're dealing with pain quietly, privately. Does your version of healing suggest that exposure is the only way through it? Harry exhaled sharply. What it suggests, he said, is that honesty matters, that breaking the cycle requires visibility. Savannah didn't blink. Even when that honesty means naming and shaming your family? Sharing text messages, voicemails, private conversations? The Duke of Sussex sat up straight, tension visible in the set of his shoulders. I'm not here to be disrespected. No one is disrespecting you, Savannah said evenly. But you agreed to this interview knowing we'd ask about the very topics you've spoken about publicly. If those are suddenly off limits, why agree to come at all? Harry didn't answer. Instead, he leaned back, forcing a smirk that didn't reach his eyes. Maybe I overestimated the tone of this program, he said. I thought I'd be treated like a human being, not a scandal headline. The jab hung in the air. Savannah's professionalism didn't falter, but there was steel beneath her composure. You are being treated like a human being, she said quietly. That's why I'm asking human questions. Questions that demand accountability, not rehearsed talking points. Harry scoffed. You're doing what the British press did, baiting me, provoking me for clicks and outrage. You're not in Britain anymore, Savannah replied calmly, and you're not being chased by paparazzi. You're sitting in a studio invited, in control of your own words. The silence that followed was thick and heavy. Harry shifted in his seat, agitation radiating off him. Savannah glanced down, then back up, measured, unflinching. You've spoken fondly about America, she said, that this country gave you and Meghan a fresh start. And yet, many of your interviews are about what you left behind, not what you're building. Why is that? Harry's expression hardened. This was the moment he'd been dreading. You brought up Meghan, he said, his tone suddenly cold. I thought we agreed this was about me. Savannah blinked. I simply referenced your shared life here in the States. You're pivoting again, Harry snapped, his voice rising, trying to get a reaction. Is that what your producers want? A soundbite? Savannah met his glare. What my producers want is clarity. What our viewers want is sincerity. What I want, she said, leaning forward, is honesty. Are those things so unreasonable? Harry stood up, just like that, mid-interview. I'm not doing this, he muttered. I'm not going to sit here and be poked and prodded like some circus act. The crew froze. A camera operator instinctively tracked his movement as he stepped away from the chairs. Savannah didn't move. Prince Harry, she said firmly, but with respect. Please don't walk away. This is your platform. You came here to speak. So speak. He turned back. Frustration etched deep across his face. You don't want me to speak, he said. You want me to perform. I want you to answer, Savannah replied. Because right now, what millions of viewers are seeing isn't a man protecting his family. It's a man refusing to be questioned. That landed. Hard. Harry paused, jaw clenched, eyes dark. And then, just loud enough for every mic in the studio to catch, he said, This interview is over. He walked off set. The screen faded to black. Savannah stayed seated, perfectly composed, cue card still in hand, as if the conversation might continue. But it wouldn't. Not that day. The Duke of Sussex had walked off live television. Cameras cut. Viewers gasped. But what followed his dramatic exit was even more revealing than the interview itself. As the dust settled over Studio 1A, a royal narrative cracked. Not from scandal, but from accountability. Savannah Guthrie had just done what no tabloid, talk show, or palace press secretary ever could. The Today Show control room erupted into chaos the moment Prince Harry disappeared off-set. Producers erupted into motion behind the scenes, whispering urgently into headsets, voices overlapping in controlled chaos. "Cut to best moments of the week," the director barked, but it was too late. Millions had just witnessed the implosion in real time. Within 30 seconds, Twitter detonated. Royal meltdown. Savannah bound Harry, both trending before the next ad break even rolled. Back on set, Savannah Guthrie remained perfectly still, composed, almost regal. She removed her earpiece, exhaled once, and looked directly into camera one. The red light blinked on. As you just saw, our conversation with Prince Harry has come to an early end. Her voice was steady, deliberate. We'll be right back with more from Studio 1A. No panic, no commentary, just the calm of a veteran anchor handling breaking news, because that's exactly what it had become. Meanwhile, in the corridors of NBC, chaos followed the Duke of Sussex. His PR handler trailed behind, whispering pleas that went ignored. Harry stormed past the green room, tore the lapel mic from his collar, and hurled it onto a makeup counter. A junior staffer offered bottled water. Harry slapped it aside. "I told you this was a setup," he hissed. "No, sir," the handler murmured, scanning for cameras. "It was journalism." Back in the control room, executive producer Lily Saunders juggled 1,000 micro-decisions. "Do not pull the footage," she ordered. "Savannah leads the top of the hour. Prep the panel. Get legal on standby." The newsroom came alive like a war room before battle. By the time the show returned from commercial, the internet had turned feral. Clips of Harry's walk-off dominated TikTok. YouTube thumbnails screamed, "Prince Harry gets wrecked live." Savannah didn't come to play. CNN ran the chyron. Prince Harry walks off live interview. This was a setup. Fox countered, "Royal walkout. Harry melts down on Today." Even the BBC, usually restrained, joined in. Duke of Sussex leaves U.S. interview in distress. Through it all, Savannah Guthrie remained unfazed. Later, she sat in the makeup room, coffee in hand, while an artist fixed the eyeliner that hadn't dared smudge. Carson Daly poked his head in. "You okay?" he asked. Savannah smiled faintly. "Never better." "What the hell happened out there?" "He came in expecting a coronation," she said evenly. "He got a mirror instead." Hours later, NBC uploaded the full, unedited interview, walk-off and all. Within an hour, it hit 3 million views. Comments flooded in. "This is journalism. Respect to Savannah Guthrie. Harry wants privacy but keeps talking about his family. Pick a lane." "She was professional." He was petulant. "Never seen Harry this rattled since Oprah." Meghan Markle stayed silent. No statement. No spokesperson. Just digital silence from Montecito.NBC's PR lines melted under thousands of inquiries. Rival networks begged Savannah to appear for commentary. She declined. "This isn't about me," she told her team. "It's about what he revealed, intentionally or not." The next morning, British tabloids pounced. Daily Mail. Harry humiliated on American soil. Again. The Guardian. Guthrie asked what royal press wouldn't. The Sun. Prince loses plot. Live on air. Even Buckingham Palace issued a rare, restrained statement. His Majesty the King remains focused on his public duties and family. He will not be commenting on the Duke of Sussex's recent interview. It wasn't support. It was distance. By design. Inside Montecito, sources described the mood as icy. Calls from Netflix and Penguin Random House went unanswered. A planned press tour was quietly canceled. The issue wasn't the walk-off, it was what came before it. A man unraveling under simple questions. A man angry not at lies, but at the truth being examined. Days later, Savannah returned to her desk as if nothing had happened. She never mentioned it on air again. But to her producer, she said one thing that would echo through newsrooms for years. He thought his title would shield him. I reminded him, "Titles don't grant immunity. Truth demands answers." The quote spread, engraved weeks later on a plaque inside the Today Show control room. The interview went down as one of the most dissected media moments of the decade. Journalism schools taught it. Analysts studied Harry's body language. Late-night hosts turned it into comedy gold. SNL aired a parody that weekend. Savannah sharp-tongued, Harry bumbling and flustered. But the real legacy was quieter. Public opinion shifted. Harry was no longer the wronged brother or the charismatic veteran. He'd become something else entirely. A cautionary tale, proof that vulnerability without accountability becomes performance, and that every platform, no matter how carefully managed, can become a stage for your own undoing. So what do you think? Was Savannah too harsh? Or did Prince Harry finally meet a journalist who refused to bow to royalty? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more truth. No titles attached. This is Sci-Fi Reaction, where the crown means nothing, but the truth means everything.